So this is 1.5-inch styrofoam board. I bought this at our local lumber store for $32 and change. Since we're making a 3x3, I wanted the whole board so I could make other stuff with it if I want to, which I am already kind of planning on. So obviously we're going to make marks at 3 foot on both sides of the board, and we're going to make a straight line. I went ahead and made my marks already. It sounds like everybody's out on Harleys tonight. Okay. Then I made another mark right next to the camera, which I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, you can see part of it anyway. Okay, I'm gonna make our mark there for 3 foot. Okay. I'm using just a regular old handsaw, nothing fancy there. Yeah, again, sorry it's so dark, but this is just the way it is because I don't like to clean my shop when I don't have to. So now, let's see. I'm just going to reach across here and okay. And as soon as we're done cutting, we'll go inside and talk about it. Now let's move some stuff. Perfect. And all that'll just stay in the grass. How do you like that? Perfect. So that's all this is right here. This is just good old foam insulation. It's 1.5 inch. This that I use for my high moisture corn layout is 2-inch. And the reason for having 2-inch is that I wanted to be able to do contours and shapes and elevations, which I just needed more height when I put them together. So that was the reason to do 2-inch on that particular layout. There we go. So that was the reason for that, okay? Like I said, I don't think I have the invoice over here, what I paid for, the receipt. Again, it was $32 and change for a 4x8 sheet of this foam insulation. You just go to the lumber store, Home Depot has got it. And they even actually have more sizes, so you can get 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2, and just whatever your needs. I would have actually bought 1 inch, but they didn't have it at my local place, so I just bought the 1.5 inch instead of the inch. Anyways, okay, I said we're going to keep this thing economical, so some of you guys that are brand new and don't have a lot of money to spend, or maybe you just don't want to experiment with a bunch of money, here's what you're going to do. Your biggest expense so far is going to be the foam board. Now, a way to even make this cheaper, if you're not afraid to dumpster dive, go to a construction site where a new building's going up, and you can find scraps and stuff like that, and you can find some scraps and whatnot, and then you can, put them together, tape them, cover up the seams, and get it for free. And matter of fact, the base of my high moisture corn display was exactly that. I didn't dumpster dive, but there was some new construction near my office where I work during the day, and a big sheet blew out from this construction site into the street, and it sat out there for probably an hour and a half, and all the guys working, they just walked by it. They didn't even pick it up, get it. So it's like, all right, I know where that's going. And I put it in my pickup, and everyone watched me do it. They didn't care, I guess. I guess they bid the job really, really well. So anyway, there's a tip for you, just a builder's tip. You can go dumpster dive at construction. Do make sure that, you're not trespassing too much, right? Too much, okay. Next, you're going to need a can of paint, and this is my preferred way to do it. This is just some mist tint. They call this mist tint paint. I bought this quart at True Value Hardware right down the street from me for $5, and my lid's actually kind of open because I dropped it on the floor, and I thought, well, since I'm going to be working out here, well, not seal it up. Anyways, you can see the paint color on there, but you see right there, $5. And then you'll need a paintbrush, which you probably already have. So I got $5 in a can of paint, and I always buy a brown or a darker color, some sort of brownish looking color, and you'll see why I do that here in a moment. Okay. Next, now, it seems to come up on different boards and different places that I go. People say, well, what do you use for dirt? Well, here's what we did. My daughter and I, she filmed me actually, so there's a video coming. We went out to a field a half a mile north of my house on the blacktop. I walked out in that field and I put dirt. This is just field dirt, okay? It's Milo stubble is what it is. And I got a garden trowel and one of these for a couple of bucks from the dollar store. Okay, this is just, it's a kitchen appliance, a kitchen tool. You use it to strain whatever you'd strain in a kitchen. But I would just fill this up with dirt out of the field and shake it over my black bucket, and that's how I came with the dirt. So what did that cost me? Except for the couple of bucks on my little strainer. Next. So now I have dirt for my field, and then next I got sand for a road if I want to put in a sand road. There is a gravel road just at the end of my block. So my daughter is actually doing a project for school, needed some sand. I said, well, go strain some sand. So she strained more than she needed, and I took the excess. What did that cost me? $0. This is very, very economical. Next. So you'll need something to spread your dirt and your sand out. So in your kitchen cabinet, in my kitchen cabinet, my wife bulk bought parsley flakes. The jug was empty, but I kept it instead of throwing it away or recycling it. I kept the parsley flakes bucket or jug, and then I just filled it up with the dirt that my daughter just strained. And then here's a sea salt container that's full of sand for a road. Okay, so what did these cost us? Well, considering we were going to throw the plastic away, I would have recycled it. I'm a recycler, kind of a Nazi about recycling. I ain't gonna lie. I got nothing in those, okay? Got nothing in them. Next, let's talk about corn. Now, I said we're making a corn display, and if you want, you can buy top shelf replicas corn. Now this little container of 600 stalks cost me $60. So 300 stalks, $60. Now I said we're going to keep this economical, right? Well, here's another option for you. Here's 100 party toothpicks for $1. This will make standing corn. I've seen guys do it. It's not glamorous, but for your first layout where maybe you're wanting to just get your feet wet and you don't want to spend a bunch of money, I went to the dollar store this evening and I found these. There's green, red, blue, and yellow in there. You could probably mix the green and yellow and have something look kind of cool. But here's your party toothpick. Just take these and kind of, I don't know. And I think you can actually buy whole cartons of green on Amazon. I think I looked for those once and I found a whole thing of green on Amazon. So these are $1 and there's 100, but they're multicolored, just so you know. But there's 100 of them in there, but that's not 60, that's $1. So you could buy quite a few of these packages of party toothpicks. If you wanted to stay really into budget, under budget, you can use party toothpicks. Okay. Stubble. I'm going to be having some corn stubble in my layout, and I've got 500 toothpicks here for $1. Again, bought these at the dollar store. Actually, I bought 1,000 of them. Okay, I bought 1,000 of these. And what is going to happen here is I will break these in half or even into quarters and make, you know, up to 2,000 toothpicks if I, you know, stalks of corn. And that will stubble, corn stubble. So that's what we're going to do there. Okay, I think that kind of clears that up for now. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get on to the next step. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip you guys around quick, and then we're going to turn you this way. I'm just going to make a basic layout here, okay? Just like I've said, I'm not going to do anything fancy or flashy. If you are going to follow exactly what I'm going to do, you're going to have to think about how do you want your fields laid out. Do you want it going at an angle? I mean, or do you want it wavy, like maybe you're following a curve in a road or something? And do you want a road? So I'm actually going to do a field, and then we're going to do a road, just so you can get a taste of how the road will work and how the field will work. Out here in Kansas anyways, a gravel road is not full width. So normally when two trucks meet like I have them here, that one's got to get off on, one's got to kind of slow way down, and the other one's got to kind of get way off over here. So we're going to kind of make it pretty tight, and we're going to say this is going to be part of it here, and then we're going to do this. Okay, and I'm just going to do kind of an angle here so I can show you something else on the next lesson. And I'm just going to make me a gravel road. This is going to be where I use the sand that my daughter sifted and got for me. So I kind of want my road going off that way. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to make that mark just a little deeper. That way when I paint this thing I can see better. There. Now I'll be able to see that really fine when I get in that. Okay, this is where the paint comes in. And I can't see any comments here, guys. I'm sorry, so we're just going to get after it. I dropped this can of paint on the frickin' lid earlier tonight. Got a big old paint, spilled a bunch of it out on the floor. Whoops. Well, not a bunch, but some anyway. So, this is why you use, okay, so we put paint down very generously, and then we put the dirt and the sand on top of the paint. That locks it into place. So as soon as we get it all painted generously, we'll sprinkle dirt and sand on it, and then tomorrow when the paint's dry, you take it outside, you knock off all the excess, and then you carry on with the next steps. All right, here we go. So I'm going to use this pretty darn thick. And I'm already not being generous enough. And you don't have to be real pretty about it, because guess what? I'll cover it up. Here, let's see, I can reach that far, right? I don't want to paint too close and then have to worry about my shirt getting in the paint. That would be kind of silly. And you don't have to spend a bunch of money on paint. I actually used some gloss black just to experiment with when I did my first one. It was a mini layout just like this, only it was smaller. And I used gloss black. It was a equipment enamel is what it is. And like I said, it's a total experiment. I didn't know what I was doing. And it worked really, the black underneath that worked really well because it made the dirt look wet. You know, because the black paint would kind of peek through the rock and sand that I put down. And it really looked kind of cool. And then I have another aggregate over here. I didn't show you, I should have. But it's actually sifted crushed concrete underneath this shed. I put crushed concrete down as the base, and it's kind of cool because then I got a different color of aggregate for roads and whatever else. So if I want to make a yard that has white rock in it. Well, I just grab this stuff and look at that. That's all white. It's really cool. So, and I meant to show you that earlier and then didn't. I hope the weather is as nice in your neck of the woods as it is here, because it was an absolutely stunning evening. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty outside. Okay, we're getting really close to the end of this. Can you see the other end of that? Nope, we'll just turn you down a little bit. Okay. And then as a finishing touch when you're done, you can come back and paint those purple edges that I'm not painting at the moment. That's just a way to kind of clean up the edges a little bit. Just makes it look nice. You can actually paint those edges first and then come back and do the tops, and then you have to worry about the top getting dry on you. Okay, so what did I say? We're up to $37 plus a $2 strainer. I do not recommend using the one out of your wife's kitchen or a girlfriend, or if you're a chef or a cook. I would recommend you go buy one, or at least replace the one you might ruin. Okay. Next, take your handy dandy spreader here and just start spreading dirt. And I've actually never put dirt on with one of these. I've done a lot of sand and it works really well. Let's see if we can, this might work just a little bit better. The dirt that I'm using is actually kind of damp. Let's see if this works a little. Oh, there we go. That's better. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on fairly generous as well, because I've got plenty of it. Doesn't cost me anything to use. And we got a few fines in there that aren't coming out. Let's toss those outside. That works. And as this dirt kind of settles into your paint, and you're seeing some paint maybe show through and you don't like it, no worries. Just sprinkle some more dirt on it. It'll be alright. And you'll notice I'm not keeping it all on the board. That's alright. I don't mind sweeping it up off of this. That's easy. Take a little hand broom and off you go. Okay, so note to self, if your dirt's just a little bit damp, just go back to your strainer. That seems to work really, really well. Okay, let's go over here. How's that looking? Am I doing it right? Okay, let's see. We Sorry, I just had to grab something else quick, and you'll see why I'm using this in just a moment. But I need it out of the way, not in the way. Okay, now I kind of got a faint line here where I want a road, right? So my nephew and I, when we did his little layout down in Texas over New Year's, we came up with a clever way to keep the dirt where we want it and not where we don't want it. So what we did was, let's see if I can pull this off. See, kind of got us a straight line there. Not perfect, but it's not bad. I'm going to set that right there. There. Now we kind of got us a straight line, don't we? Now, we got to keep in mind that out in the wild, we don't have really nice, clean, neat lines, you know. It would never be this real, I mean, you'd have weeds and greater blade marks and different things growing up. So if you don't want, I mean, don't feel like you have to have a really straight defined line. It's okay to fudge it because in real life it's not perfect. So I don't think we should stress out trying to make it perfect. Okay? I mean, we want to do our best and do a nice job, but in the real world, none of this is perfect. So if you want to go for perfect, knock yourself out, that's okay, but please don't stress out thinking it has to be that way, because it doesn't. Okay. So we have another line right here for another road, and we're going to make that now too. And actually, I think what I want to do, we're going to make it look like there's, well, maybe not hay. Let's do something else. Okay. So I've got some of this artificial turf, or this earth blend. This is $10 at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to use that because I have it on hand, and I'm going to make just a little meadowy looking thing right here. Okay, and I want to make sure you can see this, so it's cool. But if you wanted to carry this field on here, or you could skip the road and make the whole thing dirt if you wanted to, but I just kind of want to have a road in here, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Again, I'm being pretty generous with this stuff. It's amazing, once this stuff kind of fluffs up, how much is in this container. The shock value alone is worth it. It's like, holy cow, man. So in my story for this particular layout, I'm going to say that maybe this was just a weird hay thing, or maybe it's a field that's been sprayed, an old hay field that's been sprayed. Who knows? We'll come up with something. And then finally, here's my road. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in my road. Okay, here we're going to do this a little different. There we go. And if you want to run that, you could run that through there. Just to kind of help spread it out a little bit. don't have to use it. Now, you might be wondering, you're saying, hey, Eric, you overlapped. Look at that. Look at that. You overlapped everywhere. Well, guess what? What I want on the bottom is on the bottom, and it's in the paint. This stuff is just setting on the top layer. So once I take this outside and knock all the loose stuff off, guess what's going to happen? It'll be fine. I mean, there might still be a little of overlap with color and whatnot else, but that'll give it a little bit more of a realistic look. And really, in reality, if we were doing this in real life, we would have I don't know about your country, but out here, there's usually a water ditch on both sides of the road, or at least, you know, some sort of indentation, the transition between the highway or the blacktop or the gravel road to the field. Generally. Not in all circumstances, but that's common out here. And if I wanted to make it look more realistic, I would have went to that trouble. But keeping my promise that this is kind of a beginner's layout type thing, that is exactly what I want to show you. Is just we're just beginners, getting our feet wet, learning some skills, and then you can advance up as you go down the road, or as your wants and needs change. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of gently roll this stuff into the paint. Just to kind of pack it into the paint a little bit. All the loose stuff as it dries out. But tomorrow, I imagine everything up here is going to be fairly dry because it'll get kind of cozy in here with it being 80 or so degrees tomorrow. So all the wet dirt should dry and fall off, and all the paint will hold everything else in place that's I don't know that this is 100% necessary. I actually didn't do this on the first layout. So when my nephew and I were playing with his, we just liked what we got when we did his. And we did the same thing for his. We kind of packed it in. And actually, you know, for fun, since this is just an experiment, we'll leave some of that unpacked just to see what we get. Okay, we'll just leave a corner undone. And you can see here's some wet spots, or it looks damp, maybe not wet, but damp, from the paint actually absorbing the dirt. Okay, so you can see here, let's get you over here. You could see how the heat, whoops, and then you touch it and muck it up. That's okay. We'll let that be. There we go, guys. That's it. There's our first bit of layout done. Okay. See if we got some comments here. Okay. So, I think Heath told me, he says, go ahead and take your board, and then I could put some grass right along here to make it look like a road ditch. I think that's where he was going with that. Kurt says, wow, 80, I wouldn't know. Well, it's just unusual. We've just got some unusual heat this week. Today it was about 81, 2 here in Dodge. And then tomorrow it's supposed to be that way, and then it's supposed to be fritzing cold and rain all weekend. It's supposed to freeze again on the weekend. Who'd have thunk? Okay, guys, that is lesson 1 of our layout. And then, so what we'll do next week, we're going to come back here. We're going to shake off. I'm going to leave this just like it is. I'll come back, and when you're watching, we'll take it outside and we'll shake the loose crap off, or we'll do it in here, and then I'll just have to broom off my table. No big deal. We'll do that, and then we'll begin laying out our cornfield. So that will be what we're doing there.